What is good, you guys? Welcome back to the report. Welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, we're going to be giving our second mock draft. Very overdue. I should have probably done this about a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to wait until the tournament was over before I gave my second mock draft published. And today we're going to be doing a first round mock draft. I know a lot of people wanted me to do a 2-round mock draft. I didn't want to make the video like too long, so I just wanted to do a first round mock draft for now. And like, it just gets so complicated at the end. There's so many players. This draft is so deep towards the end of the first round that a lot of my guys, because I didn't have a list of players for each team because I'm using Fanspo's mock draft simulator, as you guys can see on the screen. I didn't do it like last time. Last time I used Tankathon, and then I used just a randomized order of the lottery, and based on that I just matched players to teams. Now I'm going to be doing it based off of the team's records. So as you guys can see here, the Houston Rockets have the first pick right now because they have the worst record in the NBA. So I didn't come in here with a preconceived report of a player for a team. It's kind of dependent on which team it gives me, and then I'm going to select a player. So it's kind of the other way around this time. But I do have a sort of like a big board kind of thing that I'm going to be following, but it gets so tough towards the end because there's a lot of guys that could be first round picks but won't make my first round. So if your guy gets left off my board, don't get mad at me, bro. This draft is so deep, and you could go either way. It's not like a consensus first round of 30 players that is there. It varies depending on the person. So yeah, let's get right into it without further ado. We have the Houston Rockets, as I said, and I think there's a consensus top 3 between these 3 right here, as you guys can see on the screen. Chet, Jabari, and Paolo. I think there's a very consensus top 3, and I think you can't really go wrong with either one. But I think for the Rockets, we have to take into account a little bit of fit. I know you have to take best player available, but I think the player out of these 3 who fits the best with the Rockets is Chet Holmgren, so I'm going to draft him. I think you can put him in and Şengün and Christian Wood. You can figure out Christian Wood, but you can put him and Şengün in the front court. Trade Christian Wood, get rid of him if you need to because he doesn't really fit their timeline. But I think he's just a very good player all around defensively. So we're going to go with Chet Holmgren. Orlando Magic, another cool thing about this website is that I forgot to do it for the Rockets. You can actually see the roster cap space. You can see like their depth chart, their biggest needs. It says it up here. Right now it says that point guard is a low need and power forward is a low need. To be honest, I'm not really going off of this because it doesn't really take into account the status of the team. It just takes into account how many people they have per position. So for the Magic, it doesn't really matter what position they have. They don't really have like a standout star at any position, so you kind of just have to go best player available here. And that is for me Paolo Banchero. I think Paolo Banchero is the best player available, and I do think that he fits with the Magic more than Jabari Smith Jr. does. So I'm going to go with Paolo Banchero. And then for the Pistons, it's kind of easy, because the Magic and the Rockets selected their 2, and you have the last guy out of the 3, and which is a W for them because Jabari Smith I think fits with the Pistons the best. Because you have Cade Cunningham, who's a cornerstone at that point guard position or shooting guard position, and then you just need a guy who can space the floor around him because he's going to be so ball dominant that he'll need spacing and shooting, and Jabari Smith provides that, and Jabari Smith can handle the ball as well for a 6'10" power forward. So Jabari Smith is the pick here for the Detroit Pistons. Then we go to the Okc Thunder, and this is where it gets tricky for me because I know Jaden Ivey is, on my big board, he's the 4th player. He is the 4th guy, and he is such an explosive athlete, so good. But do you really need another guard? Do you really need another point guard, shooting guard? You just drafted 2 last year, and Giddey and Trey Mann. You have a cornerstone in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. How many more guards do you need to take? And I know best player available, is something you have to take into consideration when you have teams that aren't really, going anywhere. But if you have a team that has a cornerstone already at the position like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they just had a really good draft last year. Giddey, Trey Mann can be a really good spark plug off the bench or can start alongside of them in a 3-guard lineup at times. Why take another guard here? For Jaden Ivey's sake, I hope he does not go to the Thunder because I think that would be a terrible fit for him because they have so many guards. that they'll have to give playing time towards. If you're a Thunder fan that wants Jaden Ivey, please feel free to let me know in the comment section why. I just don't see it. I just think that, you know, you have too many mouths to feed at the guard position. I'm actually going to go with AJ Griffin, if I can scroll down. He's number 8 on ESPN's big board, but he's number 5 on my big board. I just think that AJ Griffin is just a very solid player, 3-and-D, can also shoot the mid-range jumper. He's not, you know, the most NBA ready, but OKC doesn't need that. They can afford a project with the coaching, the development that they have, with the time that they, you know, have. They're not really trying to make the playoffs anytime soon. So AJ Griffin is a good pick for them, I think. And then for the Indiana Pacers, I will select Jaden Ivey. It's a perfect pick for them. You know, he goes back home. He's been an Indiana kid, went to college at Purdue. He stays home. They can have him and Halliburton in the backcourt. You can probably get rid of Malcolm Brogdon here. Try to move him in the offseason because, you know, he doesn't really fit their timeline. And you can figure out what to do with that guard position. But I think that you got to go with Jaden Ivey. He's just sitting here, so that is a W for the Pacers. With the sixth pick, Portland Trailblazers are up. If we look at their roster right now, Dame is a big question mark. I don't know if he's staying or I don't know if he's leaving. So I really don't know what the situation with that is. I hope that the Blazers try to move him because, you know, just to send him to a contender and just to, you know, make sure that they're going into a full rebuild instead of doing the same thing. Because Dame and Anthony Simons is kind of like Dame and CJ. It's not really going to get you anywhere. Assuming that the Portland Trailblazers move on from Damian Lillard, which I think is what they will try to do. If they don't, then we're probably going to have a different discussion here. I'm going to go with Shaedon Sharpe out of Kentucky. I just think that athletic, you know, he's an athletic specimen, man. He's a very good athlete. He reminds me a lot of a former Trailblazer, Brandon Roy. And I think that, you know, him and Anthony Simons for the future is really, really nice. You could also go Keegan Murray here. And actually, I'm reconsidering my pick because they don't really have a power forward. So you know what? I might go Keegan Murray instead, just because the Portland Trailblazers need a power forward. The only reason why I wasn't trying to go with Keegan Murray is because Keegan Murray is already like older. He's a sophomore. He's gonna turn 21, and I just don't think that he fits a rebuilding team like that. But if you want to take Keegan Murray here, I would understand it. So for the sake of this video, just because Damian Lillard is not officially off the roster, I'm actually going to go with Keegan Murray. So it's a good thing I caught myself there. And then for the Sacramento Kings, I will be going Shaedon Sharpe here. Same reasons. You know, you have Fox and Mitchell, but I don't think any of them are like natural shooting guards. And I think you have a hole here at the shooting guard position, with Terrence Davis being your best one. So I think you have to go with Shaedon Sharpe. He can also play a little bit at the 3, 6'6". He has a long wingspan, so I think you can put him at the 3 sometimes run a 3-guard lineup with him, Fox, and Davion. So yeah, that's the pick, Shaedon Sharpe to the Sacramento Kings. And then we get to the New Orleans Pelicans. New Orleans Pelicans is very interesting, man. It's a interesting situation for them. You know, I'm gonna go with Johnny Davis. And before I even select draft, let me explain to you guys why. The New Orleans Pelicans are in a very good situation here. This is the pick from the Lakers. Shout out to the Lakers for missing the playoffs, because you guys just gave a top 10 pick to the Pelicans. You already have CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion when he comes back, and Jonas Valanciunas. I know Johnny Davis is a shooting guard, but I think he can play the 1 a little bit. And if you want, you can have CJ play at the 1. Johnny Davis reminds me a lot of like a Devin Booker. You know, that's his play style. To me, that's what he reminds me of. The playmaking could use a little bit of work, but I don't think you need to load up to take another front court player. I like the Trey Murphy pick last year. Herb Jones was a steal. And you have these two in the front court. You have a center already in Jonas Valanciunas, Jackson Hayes. I think you got to get a guard. And you could go Dyson Daniels if you want a pure point guard, but I think the best player available is Johnny Davis. So I'm going to go with Johnny Davis. And then the San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio Spurs are up. Shout out to the Spurs for clinching the play-in spot, man. Very, very big W for them. I know their pick might not be as high now, but, you know, it's a good experience for some of their young guys. You know, I just like how the Spurs just fight and make something work. You have DeJounte, you have Trey Jones, Romeo Langford. I don't think you need another guard. Lonnie Walker. You have Keldon and Devin Vassell for the future. Jakob Poeltl is good. He's a very underrated center to me, but I think you have to go younger here. I'm gonna go with Jalen Duren. I think this is a pick that a lot of people wanted to see in real life. I've seen a lot of people mock Jalen Duren to the Spurs. I'm gonna do it again. So Jalen Duren will go to the Spurs here. And then at number 10 we have the Washington Wizards. This is very interesting. This is very, very interesting because the Wizards, I think, need a point guard more than anything else. I like Denny, I like Kuz, I like Kristaps. They have a ton of centers. Rui Hachimura, I like. You got to go point guard here. And although Dyson Daniels is number 10 on, I think this is ESPN's draft board, I actually have Ty Washington. I have Ty Washington. Ty Washington, he might not be as high on some of your big boards as he is on mine, but the reason is he's a Kentucky guy, bro. Kentucky guys sacrifice more than any other player from any other college, because when you go to Kentucky, you have to give up some portion of your game in order for the team to succeed. I know they lost to St. Peter's, but Calipari is always known for, he doesn't bring the best out of his players because he makes them play to his system. So you've seen it with a lot of Kentucky guys. Unless you're like a number 1 overall pick like an Anthony Davis or Karl-Anthony Towns. We've seen it with the Heat like Bam and Tyler Hero. What they're doing right now is not what they were doing at Kentucky. Tyler Hero was labeled as a shooter. Bam was labeled as a rim runner and a paint protector. You got to go Ty Washington. He's a very good playmaking point guard. He will definitely help the Wizards. And then we go with the New York Knicks. I actually like the New York Knicks guards. Quickly, McBride, Grimes, Barrett. I like Cam Reddish. I like Obi Toppin for the future. And I think I do really like Jericho Sims as a future center for them. Maybe not starting center, but as a backup. I'm going to go with Benedict Mathurin. Benedict Mathurin is my second favorite player in the draft behind Jabari Smith. I'm just in love with this game, man. I think as a wing player, he can defend, he can shoot, he's sneaky athletic. Reminds me a lot of like Karis LeVert type, even like a Jaylen Brown type player. Just a very silky smooth player. So I'm gonna go with Benedict Mathurin. And then we have the Portland Trailblazers again. And with the first pick, I took Keegan Murray. I'm gonna go with Dyson Daniels. He's a defensive guard. You'll have defense. Dame and Anthony Simons are not the best defenders. He can just fit in right there, be a nice playmaker for them. I wanted to go Ochai Agbaji, but I think that Ochai and Keegan Murray is kind of overloading the front court a little bit. So I'm going to go with the point guard here, take Dyson Daniels off the board, and there we go. And then we go to the Charlotte Hornets. And the Charlotte Hornets, the Hornets need a center, bro. They need a center more than anything else. But unfortunately, the best center on the board right now is like Mark Williams. I don't know if you want to reach that high. Well, actually, Mark Williams is not too much higher on my draft board. Too much lower on my draft board. So you could go with Mark Williams here, but I have Ochai above him. I have Sohan above him. I have Tari Eason above him. But if you wanted to, Mark Williams is a good option. I like LaMelo. I like Book Knight. I like Miles. I like PJ. So I'm going to do it and take Mark Williams, man. You might see it as a reach, but I think Mark Williams is really underrated. He can catch lobs. He can protect the paint. He's going to be the perfect center to pair alongside LaMelo. So Mark Williams is the pick for me. And then we go to the Atlanta Hawks. Very, very interesting pick right here. I'm going to go with Ochai Agbaji. I just think that him alongside Trae Young, just catching and shooting, 3-and-D player, reminds me a lot of like a Desmond Bane type. He's older, but that's fine because the Hawks are not rebuilding. So I think this is a perfect fit for him. He can just go and just play his game. He's not going to, really have to do anything besides shoot the ball whenever he's open. He can put the ball on the floor a little bit too. So I'm going to go with Agbaji out of Kansas. Shout out to Kansas for winning the tournament. And then we go to the OKC Thunder again. And I'm pretty sure this is the Clippers pick. Yeah, it says right here, the Clippers pick. I had him taking AJ Griffin with their first pick. I do not want to leave the site. I don't know why this is asking me. But yeah, I had him taking AJ Griffin with their first pick. I'm gonna actually go out here and take. Oh, this is so tough. I'm gonna go with Jeremy Sohan. I'm a huge fan of Jeremy Sohan. Reminds me, like, he's like a point forward type for them, like a 6'10" point forward. Like, imagine that with the Thunder, bro. Like, I know you have Giddey, but I think Jeremy Sohan is a very, very underrated playmaker, and defender, and he can shoot the ball. Like, he's a really good Swiss Army knife. So I'm gonna go with Jeremy Sohan. And then you got the Houston Rockets. I had him taking Chet Holmgren, so they have Chet. They got Sengun, Jalen Green. I want him to take a point guard. I do want him to take a point guard. So I'm gonna actually go and take Kennedy Chandler. You know, I'm not a fan of Kevin Porter Jr. at the point guard position. I don't think he's at that playmaking level that he needs to be. And I think Kennedy Chandler is underrated. He had fallen on a lot of people's big boards for some reason, probably because he's short, but he is small, but he plays a lot bigger than what he is. You know, his defense is, I think, very underrated. He can play make, he can shoot, he can score, he can finish at the rim. Does a bit of everything. Reminds me a lot of like a DeJounte Murray. So Kennedy Chandler is the pick here for the Houston Rockets. Then we got Indiana again, who I had him taking Jaden Ivey. And I think here you got to go best player available. To me, that's Tari Eason, and ESPN agrees with me. Tari Eason is the pick for me. Defensive guy, you know, Jaden Ivey and Tyrese in the backcourt. Defensively, can get a little bit exposed. So Tari Eason, to combat for that, can really, really, really step up defensively. I think he's probably the best defender in the draft, or at least the best defender in the first round. If you're talking about pure defense, because that's what he does. He's just an all-around great defender who can also finish at the rim. So Tari Eason is the pick. Next, we got the Minnesota Timberwolves. Man, Tari Eason would have been a great fit here too. I'm not gonna lie, Tari Eason would have been an amazing fit here. And this is where it gets tough, man. This is where it really, really gets tough. We're kind of in the latter stages of the first round here. I really like Malachi Branham, but you have Anthony Edwards, you have D'Lo. I don't want to take another guard. You could go wing here. You could go wing. And I don't really think they need another scorer. So at, what pick is this? The 18th pick, I'm going to take EJ Liddell out of Ohio State. He kind of reminds me of like a Paul Millsap, PJ Tucker. Just he's undersized, but like he plays bigger than he is at that power forward position. I think him and Cat would work really, really well. Just another gritty player for them. They can figure out what to do with him and Jared Vanderbilt, Jaden McDaniels. Defensively, that's dope. I like that a lot. And then we have the Chicago Bulls. EJ Liddell would have been a great fit here too. But I do think they need a big who can protect the rim. Vucevic is not really it for me. As far as defense is concerned, I'm not a Vucevic guy defensively. I think a lot of people agree with that. So I'm going to go with Walker Kessler out of Auburn. He can protect the rim, but his foot speed for his size as a 7-footer is very, very underrated. I don't think a lot of people give him credit for that. He can move his feet really, really well for his size. So Walker Kessler is the pick for me. And then with the San Antonio Spurs, I didn't want to give him another guard at the beginning, but I kind of have to now because we're at that spot where we're running out of a lot of these players. We're running out a lot of players who are not really, bigs. A lot of these players are guards. So I'm gonna go with Jaden Hardy. Jaden Hardy, he's 26th here, but I think him in that Spurs system, I know I know he's a chucker. I know he shoots a lot, but they don't really have like a go-to scorer in my opinion. Like DeJounte can score the ball, but he's not like a born scorer. Jaden Hardy at one point was like a top 5 prospect in this draft just because of his scoring ability. He's fallen off on draft boards, but I think he's still very, very capable. So I'm going to go with Jaden Hardy here. And then we have the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets who have Jamal when he comes back, Will Barton, MPJ, Aaron Gordon, Jokic. I'm going to go with Malachi Branham. I think if you can upgrade that Will Barton spot for the future, that shooting guard position with him and Jamal Murray would be a really good tandem in my opinion, out of Ohio State. So yeah, I'm gonna go Malachi Branham. And then we're back with the Memphis Grizzlies, who I think have 3 picks in this draft, or 2 picks at least. And the Memphis Grizzlies here, the Grizzlies are just so fun to watch, bro. They just have a lot of dogs on their team. They have I don't see, okay, Dylan Brooks is here. DeAnthony Melton, they're saying, is their backup point guard. I don't really know what position I want to go for them, because they're kind of really good at everything, but maybe just another depth guy. If I want to give them one, I could go like a Blake Wesley here. And I think that's what I might do. Or maybe like a Bryce McGowan. Is Bryce McGowan here? Where is he? He's 30 for some reason. That's pretty low in my opinion. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Blake Wesley. He can defend and score. I think Blake Wesley is the perfect fit for the Memphis Grizzlies. And then we're back. Not back, but we're on the Dallas Mavericks. And come on, bro. If you were to tell me that a team would select an international prospect, it would either be the Mavericks or the Spurs. And we finished the Spurs. So the Mavericks are going to go here, take Nikola Jovic. Not Jokic, but Nikola Jovic. Can shoot the lights out of the ball. Him and Luka, just that spacing around Luka would be immaculate. He can't really defend, but shooting-wise, he has it. Reminds me a lot of like a Gallinari. So Nikola Jovic is the pick there. And then we're on the Milwaukee Bucks, almost wrapping up this first round, very close to wrapping up this first round. And we have a couple of prospects here that are very, very intriguing. I like a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys are cool, but I think defensively, the Milwaukee Bucks are set. I don't know why they have Giannis running the 2, like Fanspo. Like, you got to fix that, bro. I don't know what this is. But I think their lineup is Drew, Pat Connaughton / Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Brook. Another scorer like a Bryce McGowan's can really, really help this team. So I'm going to go with Bryce McGowan's here. We're back on the Spurs now, who I had him take a guard. I had him take a big. Let's go with the wing now. Let's go with Kendall Brown out of Baylor. Kendall Brown, I just think can fit that Spurs mold. Popovich, he has a lot of potential. He's not quite NBA ready, but he's a very raw prospect, and I think it really, really fit with the San Antonio Spurs. Now we're on the Brooklyn Nets. And the Brooklyn Nets, they need a lot, bro. The Brooklyn Nets need a lot. And, I think that, it's between these 2 guys for me. It's between Marjon Beauchamp and it's between Trevor Keels. I'm going to go with Trevor Keels because I think he's more NBA ready, whereas Marjon Beauchamp is like a project in my opinion. But Trevor Keels, Brooklyn needs defense more than anything. And Trevor Keels really, really will give them. He's kind of like another Bruce Brown for them, another Bruce Brown type player. But as I say that, I don't know if I want to give them another Bruce Brown when they already have him. So I might go Marjon because defensively he's going to be there. He's very athletic. So I'm going to change it up. I'm going to go Marjon Beauchamp out of G League Ignite. And then we got the Golden State Warriors. What do the Warriors need? I like Steph. I like Jordan Poole, Clay, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond, Wiseman, Kuminga, Moody. They have a lot of wings, man. I don't think they need another wing player. So I don't want to give them Trevor Keels. John Montero is a good option for them. John Montero is an option. Who else am I missing? I don't know if ESPN's draft board is the same as mine. So I don't know if I'm missing anyone, but I like John Montero for them as a backup PG. Veteran, not veteran, but he plays like a veteran because he's just very, savvy. So I'm going to go with John Montero out of the Overtime Elite, if I'm not mistaken. Miami Heat, my team, obviously, and a lot of your teams, because you guys will be watching the video for Heat content. But PJ Tucker at the 2, what is this? Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry, Jimmy, Bam. We're missing that 4 for the future. We're really, really missing that 4. But I really don't know who I want to go with here because the 4s available are not really it. Christian Coloco is cool. Drew Timme, David Roddy, he's all right. But I think a guy who really would fit the Heat culture is Trevor Keels. As I was talking about, he's a dog, bro. He's a dog. You know, he plays a lot bigger than what he is. He can defend at an elite level. He can shoot the ball. NBA ready. Trevor Keels to the Miami Heat. Then we have the Memphis Grizzlies with the second to last pick in the draft. I had him taking Blake Wesley with the 22nd pick. And we are almost done with this draft. We're at the last 2 picks. So, this is so tough. This is so tough because I don't know who I want to go with right now. Yeah, this is really, really tough for me. Who's the last pick? OKC Thunder. I might go Christian Brown, but at the same time, I don't want to do that because we just gave them a guard in Blake Wesley. I don't want to go with another guard here. You know what? I'm gonna take a shot. Here. There's an overseas player who's not anywhere here. He's a little bit lower. I think he's a stud. I think he's an absolute stud. Ismail Kamagate is the name that you guys have to watch out for. This guy, I'm telling you, bro, he is an absolute stud. I don't know why he's not being talked about. Probably because he's an overseas player. But this dude right here, I've seen him outplay Victor Wembanyama, who is probably the number 1 pick next year in a French game. This dude right here can do a little bit of everything. I know they have Steven Adams, but their backup center is kind of non-existent to me. Like, Xavier Tillman is cool, but I think Ismail Kamagate comes in as a better player from day 1 than him. So, I'm going to go with Ismail Kamagate out of Paris. And then with the last pick, we're going to go with Patrick Baldwin Jr. to the OKC Thunder. He's a project. I don't really know if he's a project, but he's a guy who will need to be molded. But he's a steal at 30 for sure. His talent level is a lot above. He reminds me a lot of like a Michael Porter Jr. type. So yeah, Patrick Baldwin Jr. to the Thunder, and that is the conclusion of my mock draft. There were a couple guys that I would have liked to select. I know Ousmane Dieng was available for like a long time, but I don't know. I'm not the biggest Ousmane Dieng fan, or Ousmane Dieng, however you say his name. And then I did like Christian Brown. I really liked Max Christie, but there's only 30 spots, and you can't really complain about the names here on the board either. So let me know what you guys thought about this mock draft. If your favorite teams got what you guys liked. And yeah, that's where we're probably gonna wrap up the video. I'll probably do one more of these right before the draft, so stay tuned for that. I'll see y'all later. As always, have a nice day. Leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Peace.